What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching. So today we're going to talk about why your cammed car is probably slow. And there's a simple reason for that. It's called compression. I'm not talking about your static compression. I'm talking about dynamic compression. If your valve events, if they're wrong, your compression's going to be wrong. So you might think you have, you milled your heads down, you did a thinner head gasket, so your static compression is like 11.7, 12.0 to 1. And you're like, all right, I got a lot of compression. Why is my car so slow? Because your valve events are bleeding off all that compression, so your dynamic compression is extremely low. Or, like, take my car for example. My car, static compression on the old setup, it was, I think, 11.0. Like, not high compression at all. Stock LS3 is 10.7 to 1, so 10.9 to 1, 11.0 to 1, not much higher compression. But my valve events put my dynamic compression, I want to say it was around like 8.8 to 1 with my dynamic compression. So a car with a higher dynamic compression is usually going to be faster than the car with the lower dynamic compression because, compression is where your power is going to come from, essentially. So all these guys with these giant ass cams in their cam only car, but they didn't touch the heads, didn't touch the head gaskets, and they just bought the biggest off the shelf cam they have. They're all pissed off when they buy this giant cam that claims to make 550, then they take their car to the track and trap 126 and run like an 11.0. Meanwhile, smaller cam cars like my Corvette are running average 10.2, 10.3 at 134, 135 on the old setup. So what's going to show you right now real quick is a list from the Corvette forum. It's from 2016, was the last time it's been updated, but it just gives you an idea of what dudes are running with LS3s and LS2s with all motor stuff. So I figured it'd just be a good idea to post that up in here real quick so you can see it. Now I have more compression, but the car's set up for boost, so my dynamic compression's a lot lower, and I'll go over that too. But now we're going to go to the computer. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Sorry, alright, so we're at the computer now. So, as you can see, this is all LS3 stuff. Your bore, your compression. So my current cam closes at 82.8 degrees after bottom dead center. So, as you can see, my static compression on a stock LS3 would be 10.7 to 1. So, to see what your dynamic compression would be with this big cam, see how low that dynamic compression is? Now, if we go and put my old cam events in, this is my old cam, the one that originally went 10.2 at 135 the first time. And so you can see currently, it's at 7 to 1, 7.19 to 1 dynamic compression. So my old cam, same compression, like engine compression, static compression, whatever you want to call it, but different dynamic compression. So my cam that was a lot smaller made a lot more compression, which is why it went so as fast as it did. It was smaller than the Texas Speed LS3 Stage 2. It was smaller than the Brian Tooley Racing LS3 Stage 3, Stage 4, and their new Stage 5 cam. It was pretty small for LS3 cam, but it worked. Let me pan the phone over here. So here's a spreadsheet on all different dynamic compression stuff. So like I said, the stock LS3 is 10.7 to 1. So we'll go 10.7 to 1. It's right here. My old cam, the small one, intake valve closing. And then That's where I put it at. So 72 degrees. The map's a little skewed on this. It doesn't break it down exactly, or the decimal points and everything. And then the new cam, it's a lot bigger cam, but set up for a blower, would fall between these two. So same static compression, just changing cam. And now that's what happens with a lot of you big cam guys. You guys throw in these huge cams and then just lose all your compression off. You're not doing anything to make up for it. And you're not revving them. You don't have intake manifolds for them. A lot of guys will have like a BTR stage 4 cam, stock compression, stock head gaskets, and they'll have a stock intake manifold and wonder why their car's so slow. Even if we up the compression, keeping the same cam events, up the compression to 12.0 right here. Now we're still going a 1.3 points higher on compression. Now we're at the same static compression that my smaller cam would be, but having the big cam with the big compression would be faster. So just like, this isn't like an end all be all, but this is just why a lot of you guys, like a lot of cars out there, don't perform. So you want a higher static compression. You want a higher dynamic compression. Overall, you want your dynamic compression to be like mid 8s if you're on pump gas. You can raise it a lot higher depending on the fuel you're going to be running on. And also, you're getting these numbers based off your 4,000s lift. You're not getting these numbers based off your 50,000s lift. That's on your cam card or what's on the internet when you look at the cam specs. So you want step number 1, or rule number 1. You want compression. With cam cars, you want compression. Dynamic compression is more important than static compression. Because like I said, like 2 cams now, same dynamic compression, 2 completely different static compressions. But also, the tune has a lot to play in this. Your feeling has a lot to play. But at the end of the day, you want more compression. So now that we know, your valve events will change compression, let me just show you something. So this is my old cam, stock compression. We'll just color this green for now. My new cam, going off of stock compression. Color this one blue. So old cam right here, new cam. If you're, just stock compression LS3 car, that's how much lower your compression just went just by changing cams. So to run this cam right here, but to get your compression back this high, oh, I was 1 down, so it should have been this square. My bad. So still down a lot of compression. So to get it back up to like the 8.0 range, we'd have to go from 10.7 to 1 to 12.0 to 1 to have the same dynamic compression. Now, the bigger cam with the same dynamic compression should theoretically be faster. So, but as you can see, 12 to 1 compression, most guys aren't milling their heads down. They're just tossing this big off-the-shelf cam in there. So with their stock compression, big off-the-shelf cam, their compression's gonna be down in this range most likely. So this is why you'll see a lot of smaller cars that have stockish compression. They're faster, or smaller cams, my bad, not smaller cars, because their dynamic compression is actually higher. So my old cam, 72 degree valve closing, my compression was 11.0. I just had thinner head gaskets. So now with my thinner head gaskets on my smaller cam, to get to this compression with the big cam, we'd have to go 12.4 to 1 compression. You'll see a lot of guys all the time on Facebook and the internet. All they ask is just, hey, what's your compression? That doesn't matter. That's like saying, what's your boost? Boost doesn't matter. There's so much more to making power. 20 pounds of boost at 10 degrees of timing is going to make a whole lot lower power than 20 degrees of boost at 15 degrees of timing. And then we can, talk about what fuels you're running. Guys, like, that's why I never understand why someone's just like, what boost do you run? That doesn't matter. Like, what compression do you run? That doesn't matter if you don't know their valve events and what the real compression is. We'll go with. So yeah, bigger cams aren't going to make your car faster. I had a little cam just with my compression around the right area, and my car went 10 to 135, weighing 3,450 pounds with me in it. Now my car, let me get rid of all these colors. Now my car is at 11.7 to 1, but my valve events are a lot later, a lot bigger cam. But it's set for a blower, so we're gonna bleed some stuff off. So I'm still down a lot of compression. So how my static compression is higher, my cam events actually make my dynamic compression lower. So we went from here, I'm an old cam, old compression, big cam set for a blower down here. And there's a reason for that, because with boost, and especially the compression, you're gonna want to bleed a lot of that off. That way you're not running into issues. I just thought I'd throw this little video together so you can see, not all cams are created equal. There's a reason why some cars perform and some don't. It's about the overall setup. It's not about just tossing the cam in and going. So if you're trying to be competitive, you need to know what your compression is. You need to know your valve events. It's going to help if your tuner knows that stuff too. But while we're on this topic too, E85 and all motor. There's a reason why a lot of guys don't make power on E85. They'll make, 5 or 6 horsepower in E85. It's because their compression and their dynamic compression, it isn't high enough to make that E85 do something. That's why you'll see one all-motor car makes 5 horsepower in 85. Another all-motor car will pick up 20, 30 horsepower in 85. It's because their compression and everything's just set up right. But thanks for watching this video. I figured I'd do something a little different because I get a ton of questions about my Corvette. Like there's nothing about it. Like, it wasn't gutted. It's a small cam. It's not an off-the-shelf cam. It has trick flow heads, unported. They're not milled. And it just had thinner head gaskets to bump the compression up a little bit. But thanks for watching. Go ahead and click that like button. Share this video. I appreciate it.